Hello, this is Alan Wheeler on my channel where I discuss tarot and or spirituality. And today's topic is 8 paradigms of deity. And I was inspired to use the term paradigm in the title by a new friend who asked to share our spiritual practices and paradigms. And I hadn't used this word in quite a while. Of course, I was familiar from the idea of the paradigm shift that was popularized many years ago. But it's a good word for these approaches, the parameters we have, the ideas we have of what is deity, what is the divine. So number one, the first paradigm I identified is kind of the energy model. And the idea here is that deity is really just symbolic, symbols and images of these energies that are really just the laws and workings of nature. So I think this is a more modern paradigm or a modern approach. And if I understand her correctly, Aini Orga on her channel, who at least for a while followed scientific pantheism, this was her kind of thinking as far as I could follow it. And there's others kind of from that pantheistic school of thought or scientific pantheism that would see more of this all-encompassing energy and seeing it symbolized or experienced in the various ways. Number two is another modern approach, which is myth. And this would be the idea that deity is mythic. Now, in the crass sense, we're saying, oh, it's not real, it's false. But those who study folklore or classic literature or ancient writings would deal with it very respectfully and say something like these myths are representations of a people's perceptions of the highest truths, or their kind of embodiments in drama and stories of people's deepest experiences. So it's a very respectful approach, and it's somewhat of that approach or paradigm taken by Joseph Campbell or Carl Jung, who might have a more psychological approach or sociological approach. Number three would be getting more into the religious realm and seeing deity as faces or aspects of source, of a monad, or of a divine Godhead. And somewhere between the mythic paradigm and this idea of facets or faces of the divine, somewhere in here, this is where Joseph Campbell and Jung and those kind of thinkers would fall. And we can find this paradigm in Hindu thinking, so probably the oldest polytheist religion, in which many different avatars and incarnations and local deities are assimilated and accepted at the same time. Coexisting in that paradox is the idea of Brahma, or this ultimate center And so that's number 3. Number 4 would be the paradigm of the collective. And this would be that all of these stories, myths, forms of deity all together would be taken all, if you could put them all together, that would be God. These are all fragments, so to speak. And this might be some forms of alchemy, Hermeticism, or Neoplatonism might play with this idea a little bit. Number 5 is the paradigm that deity, these are just real separate spirits. They're real entities. And so this would be your hard polytheism, your traditional religions, maybe animism, paganism. These are just real entities, real spirits. Number 6 would be deity is actually an aspect of higher self. And this higher self would be a psycho-spiritual paradigm or approach. And so from the more spiritual side, that higher self would be Atman, or the divine within. From a more psychological approach or paradigm, that higher self would just be the better angels of our nature, as Abraham Lincoln called it. Number 7 is the idea of egregores. And these are group embodiments. So this might be a more anthropological or sociological approach. And basically, an egregore is a thought form put together by the collective mind. So this might be similar to the idea that archetypes come from the collective unconscious, and there would be a kind of a self-perpetuating cycle here where the egregore is made up by the group, but then it turns around and influences the group, and this kind of scales up, and this thought form becomes more than just a picture or fiction. And finally, number 8 is a combination of these various ideas. So it may be that all or some of these have a piece of wisdom that can be put together, kind of the puzzle can be put together. And I appreciated in one of her videos, Benabel Wen said that if we do change, if we do shift our paradigm in regard to deity, we're not just being wishy-washy, but rather we may be growing as we experience different facets and different perspectives, that we may be becoming a more well-rounded person as we shift and spiral and develop and experience different approaches and different paradigms. So this was my video on 8 paradigms of deity. Please subscribe, like, comment, as that will get the algorithm up and get this out to others who might be interested. And as always, I hope you find connection with people in your life, with online community, and on your spiritual path, whatever that may be. Take care.